Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Death.
And Sydney's 2 for 2, 2 weeks in a row, fumbling the bat. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
I
it
think
was
it's
like-
cute. And it was a different point that was confusing this time. What happened?
Something, it felt like I was like, my spit got like weird, and I was like, "Bleh,"
Oh.
and then I was like, where was I?
Yeah. That
And
little
black
distraction
comedy?
just throws you off your game. As you were saying it this time, I was like, we never decided what Mother Mary was, but I don't know
It's a
that
thriller.
any of them, I guess.
I was thrilled, okay?
I was
It's
thrilled.
thrilling.
Yeah.
I was thrilled. I'm still thrilled. I'm thinking about it all the time. I was listening to the music on repeat that whole rest of that night.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of the songs earlier, actually.
I
But
haven't
that was
thought
2 weeks
about
ago,
any of the
guys.
songs at all.
Last
'cause
week
you
was
haven't
over your dead body. So.
I know.
Oh, yeah. It was re-recorded in
We
order,
time
of
traveled a
course.
little. It's confusing for us.
Yeah.
Time isn't
Anyway.
real, guys.
This week we're continuing on with would you
What's
mind
our
if we
theme?
do a
Oh,
new
may
may I?
cover some new releases in May, something like that. We'll have to
We'll
have to check
workshop
with
it.
you.
It'll be really good by the end of May.
Really good name. That's really marketable. Once again, we just keep hitting them with it. It's crazy. But we are doing this week a brand spanking new movie, and that is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. And I'll just give you the little log line right now. Oh, also, I noticed last episode I said the IMD or the IMB log line, and then I had to listen to that back, and I was like, fuck. Damn it.
Crap.
Anyway, I'm just skipping that now. Logline. The young daughter of a journalist disappears into the desert without a trace. 8 years later, the broken family is shocked when she is returned to them, as what should be a joyful reunion turns into a living nightmare. I read that one so well compared to last time, or 2 times ago, depending on when you live in this world and what timeline you're on.
Depending on if
it.
you experience time chronologically or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that depends person to person. But yeah, this is Lee Cronin's The Mummy, not Lee Cronin's Mummy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy, hard to say, annoying to say. Lee Cronin's Mummy, easy to say, wonderful. What I've been saying for months and months and months.
And you'd be wrong.
Something
And we
to
don't
think
need
about,
to be
Lee.
factually accurate. We just need to give the vibes. And I think that is good enough because that's actually Lee Cronin's style. I saw this movie twice. And then I was like, I wonder if he has anything interesting to say about it. So I looked up an interview. That was fine. Sure.
I watched a lot of interviews with him and James Wan, and I didn't
saw
glean
some
that
good
much.
stuff. Oh, okay, never mind.
They were
What I did
really
see-
talking about James Wan and Jason Blum as producers, and I was like,
Is
I
that
don't
why
fucking
we got that
care.
random
important to
text where you were
me.
like, unfortunately, James Wan's still sexy.
So hot, yeah.
Yeah, James Wan's still sexy. He still has right now the red and black hair. Right now, he
Ooh.
has the red and black hair.
And
I
I
loves
thought
love
it,
that was just like a
Chelsea.
random
signature look
thing where you were like, he's this guy's
No,
saying
I was
everything.
looking at him.
No, he's
I was
working on
actively
this movie.
looking at him. Chelsea, you were saying something. I'm so
yes,
sorry.
I was. That's okay. One thing that I was saying that was a quick side note was that reading the interview did contextualize for me some IMDb trivia entries where I was like, why did somebody put this on IMDb trivia? Like someone put on there, James Wan went to the bathroom during a screening of this movie. And I was like, okay. But then I read the interview where Lee Cronin was talking about how this movie was getting a lot of shit talking before it came out, and the title was part of that because they were originally using a working title of Resurrected or Resurrection or something like that. That was just like one of those things where they pick a fake title so nobody knows what they're really working on.
Yeah.
But people were like, WB has changed the title, signaling that this movie is a flop. And he was like, that happened. And then another one was
Not
like, James Wan walks out of screening of the Mummy movie.
He had
and
to
he was
poop.
like, he had to pee actually, and
He had to
don't put
shit
it that
his
he had to
pants.
poop
Take
on
a
the record.
huge
Don't put that
shit.
pooped on the record. Don't do that to him. He's
Allegedly,
fine.
he had to poop.
Allegedly.
But then he must have done
Allegedly,
it
the
really fast
gore,
because he was only gone for the time of a piss.
the
So
gore was so insane that he
Listen,
got diarrhea
Diarrhea.
instantly.
James
Anyway.
Wan also felt like, I don't know, this movie felt wet to me, and so
Blech.
I
Why would you say
like
that?
James Wan also, this movie made him feel wet.
Should we
yeah,
like
he
start
has
a
to go
gag
towel
count?
off.
I think we might need to start a gag count for this episode because I'm gonna be gagging the whole
I
time.
can see that.
I
Anyway, his
authentically almost threw
directorial
up.
style. What I was getting to was his directorial style is both meticulously planned and also improvised vibing out in the moment. So follow your heart in terms of what you say, because he loves to change a line last minute, day of, just to
Oh my
keep
God.
it easy, free flowing. And
Yes,
putting
and
his name in the title wasn't the plan originally. But both when they announced that Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz were coming back to do the Mummy movie, they felt like they had to
Oh.
distinguish themselves.
that's
And
fair.
also, it's part of a larger trend of Hollywood backing director auteurs. And so they're using him as a centerpiece for promotion of this
Okay.
movie.
That's cool. The thing is, like when I saw Lee Cronin's Mummy, I was like, Lee Cronin must be like a huge name in horror. And like, yeah, probably after this more so because he's had
'Cause now
two
his name's in the
huge
title.
studio successes or whatever. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is this a success? I think it's doing well. It's still in theaters and it's been out for a while, right? It's been out
Since last weekend.
Couple of weeks. It's
2
no
weeks.
longer in 4DX because it got bumped for
Whoa.
Michael.
This
but-
movie could be insane in 4DX.
Chelsea
I
saw it
I
in
saw it
4DX.
in 4DX.
Was it insane? Was
Here's
it
what
wet?
I'll tell you. I do believe it was wet at points. Driving home, I was like, none of the 4DX was particularly memorable. There wasn't like a super memorable 4DX moment, other than there were lots of times where I could hear the scent boosters, and I was like, what scent am I supposed to be smelling right now?
Can you not smell them? Do you have a
I
weird nose? I'm sorry. that
I
was
usually
mean.
have a good nose, so I don't know if it's just like the scent is not always perfectly calibrated to what it's. If they're doing like a salty smell because we're in the desert, it's like, is that, you know what I mean? Like, what am I? Anyway,
If they did a smell that had anything to do with any of the scenes in the house in Albuquerque, I would
I
fucking
don't think
throw
they're
up.
they're like deviled egg smell for the deviled eggs.
I
at the
know.
dinner.
I was like, if
No.
they did devil egg smell, bleh, everywhere, vomit
No,
everywhere.
I don't think they did that. I think they did like smoke and stuff for some of the dust scenes. That was probably good.
Oh, that's cool.
But there's just so much going on already in this movie that I think that the 4DX necessarily. I mean, it's you can't not have fun at a 4DX movie, but it wasn't. I texted you guys afterwards. I was like, 4DX not required
Yeah.
for this movie.
I wish that I could have seen this movie with you or with any other person other than just myself. 'Cause
Agreed.
this was really hard to watch by myself because
It's
This is
so
just-
long.
well, it's
That's
so
part of it.
long. That's part of it. But I this is just like not my kind of horror, and I want to like say that at the beginning because like I'm still gonna give it the Scouts try. It's just not, and I'm gonna see all the movies that are coming out this summer that are in this same sort of vein of horror. But like I have gotten to my ripe old age of 33, and I know exactly what I don't like, and it is this exact type of gore and stuff. And the other two movies that Lee Cronin has done, this is what I was getting at when we were talking about Lee Cronin. Evil Dead Rise, I also didn't like that much for the same reason. Everybody else loved it. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a really good movie. I just like the way that they do the like gross out gore. I'm just like, I don't want to see it. I don't like it that much. And the storylines aren't like stories that are like gonna move me so much that it's warranted. Like I can handle like really intense gore, for example, like Bring Her Back, like really fucked me up. And it's not the same type of gore, but the intensity is maybe similar. If that is
Very
resonating for
visceral
either of you
gore.
guys, very visceral horror. Like some of this I just felt like, okay, you're just trying to make me gag, and they definitely are, but it's just like
Feels like that's the focal
annoying.
point of the movie more
Ex-
than being story driven.
exactly. And so I like a movie that's like the horror is a part of a story that, and I like the whole story. Like I want it to, like it's a movie after all. It's not just a
Mhm.
horror movie, it's a movie. And so some of this I felt like it was a little more on that end. But that being said, like I know I'm in minority here, excuse me. And I do think they have merit, and there's a lot of really fun stuff in this. But I really wish that there had been someone else there for me to hold on to, namely Chelsea, because she's usually the one. Because this was really difficult. But I found out that I've seen all of his movies. I've seen all of his movies. I've
And for
seen
one Lee
the whole of,
Cronin fan, Monica Height, wow, put that on
yeah.
the record.
This is
I've
my first
done
Lee
all my
Cronin
homework.
movie because
You
I have
haven't. You
yet.
saw Evil Dead Rise, I thought.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I thought you saw it.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's something we could consider for our Pride lineup.
You
And I
saw
think
The Hole in the Ground?
I've seen the okay. Here's that's what I'm getting to the hole in the ground story. The hole in the ground I have actually watched twice because I watched it all the way through years ago, like not giving it my full attention. And then I was like, oh, look, like a year ago over the summer or something. I was like, I'm gonna put something on while I'm working. Put on this movie. I'm like, huh, this is a cool new movie. Like I haven't heard of this one. Blah 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 blah. It was a hole in the ground. I got halfway through it and I was like, this is seeming really familiar. And I was like, God damn it. I'm 45 minutes in and I've already watched this movie. And it's not a movie that I necessarily needed to watch twice. You know what I mean? But it's not a bad movie. It's good. He loves a fucking spooky kid. He lives for a spooky kid. Lee Cronin is all about that shit. Spooky kid in the hole in the ground. I recommend it. It's cool. It's very interesting. It's more folk horror-y. And I dig that shit.
You do.
But like with this movie, but big takeaway from all the interviews that I watched where it was they're like, we wanted to do something different with the mummy. We wanted to do something completely, totally crazy different with the mummy. It's not silly, goofy action. It's not spooky ghost like the 1932 one. I actually haven't seen that one. I started it today, but they got away from me. Didn't finish it. We want to do something crazy and different. And they're like, I love that they're like, let's do something so crazy with the mummy. And the crazy thing is bringing it to the US of A. Like,
Which I think was a dumb plot point.
Here's what I think. I also saw where he was like, yeah, I didn't really want to do a franchise movie. I didn't really want to do a remake or something that had been done 1,000 times, but I realized I could come with a really fresh perspective, actually do something completely reinvent the mummy as we know it. I think it's an interesting movie. A lot of our patrons were talking in our Discord about how it feels like it is, as you might have expected based on the fact that he did Evil Dead Rise, that's how he got this job. That it feels like an Evil Dead movie, and it does, because
it
I
really
think
does.
Yeah.
if we had, I mean, there's a lot here that I do think is interesting and could set up a movie that feels a lot more like a mummy movie, but having the American family be the centerpiece to it, which is the primary emotional driven story and action and focus, and the Egyptian family that is tied to this being kind of just like set up more than anything else. I think what's going on with their family could be a very interesting mummy movie. But that's not the movie that we get. They're just like using that as the scaffolding for this movie.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because it goes so far away from what like what entices people to mummy type movies. Like it still has tons of elements of it, but like we're losing the look of a mummy completely. That's fine. That can be a little Scooby Doo, which they have Scooby Doo in this, which was exciting for me. It's the one with the green guy. They unmasked him in one of at the beginning.
Creeper.
The creeper. Thank you. I knew you'd know the name. Um, but like it's interesting because like part of one of the interviews they didn't really get into anything that like I can repeat now, but they're like, what is it that people like? Why do people love mummies so much? Like, why is this such like an ancient like fascination for people? And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I wanted to do more research on the history of mummies, but like we've talked on the pod before, like Sydney and I love mummies so much. We love bog mummies, totally different type of things. But like Sydney, weren't you the one who knew all about the mummy parties? They used to eat
The
them.
Victorians loved the mummies. Like, one of the reasons why mummies are so rare now, they weren't rare, but like people would eat them. They were
Got
like
gobbled
ground
up.
down into like aphrodisiacs and makeup powders
Yeah,
and
they'd have
like,
mummy unwrapping parties.
yeah, like mummies were like a fad in the Victorian era.
And the
Mummies
question
hunted
is
to
like,
extinction.
mummies hunted to extinction. But like the thing that's so interesting about it's like, okay, why are we so interested in it? And like there's a lot of obvious reasons. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. Like we don't do that now. We don't take a person's body and preserve it in that way. There's no like I'm sure there's some modern practices of that. I'm sorry, I don't know everything. But
Put it
like
down in my will that I want a historically done mummification
yeah.
upon my death.
And
Don't eat me
it's
unless
so unless it's an
bones and all,
aphrodisiac, in
baby.
which case, oh my god. I want to rewatch that. But like, okay, so like it's a macabre fascination too, right? Like interesting in like the rituals of death, and then there's so much like language in like Egyptian mythology and like history and stuff about like birth and rebirth and like that's part of the mummification process. And so of course that spawned like this zombie like idea with the mummy where they're like, oh, they're perfectly preserved, it looks like a person, they bottled up all their guts to ship them to the afterlife, whatever. Like, oh, they could come back to life. We don't understand this. And so, like, there's like an Orientalism thing too with this. I'm not saying a slur; it's a term. Where it's like an exoticism too, from like a maybe American perspective or like a Anglo-Saxon perspective. Is Anglo-Saxon the word I'm trying to say? I don't fucking know. Where it's just like this different culture doing this different thing we don't understand. So that's where like some of the mummy movies can get a little icky too, because they do a lot of the like, oh, the Egyptian people thing, and like there's not great portrayals of Egyptian people in these types of movies in the past and stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting in this movie, how like, I think they did a better job of like representing Egyptian people and Egyptian society. Not that I'm an expert on it, and if you have criticisms of it, let me know. But it like felt more like human. They had some more like modern characters instead of all the people who are from Egypt being like the magician Hayat Camille's character. So I think that was good, but it strayed so far away from like that core of what a mummy is. And so I don't think that's necessarily bad, but like it's so far away from a mummy that it's a deadite. You know what I mean? They look like
Yeah.
deadites. The grandma looked like a
Oh,
deadite.
well, they have like, not to jump the shit. No, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. Pigeon pin on this.
Pigeon pin on grandma.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see what he has to say about it because I don't remember if part of this was from IMDb trivia or what he was talking about. Definitely, this part was this. It said this was the first The Mummy movie to have any Egyptian actors in it ever. And that
Yeah,
is
that's huge.
May El Hadi, I think, who plays Layla Khalil as an adult, and May Kalamawi, who plays the detective Dahlia Zaki, or
Oh
I don't
my
know.
god. I have
Um,
much to say about
she,
her once
she's
later
beautiful.
on.
Um, but they were the like first two Egyptian actors to be in this kind of production. In the interview he talked about how he was very happy to have the first lines of the movie be in Arabic.
Yes, I loved
And
that. The opening
Mhm.
was great. Like so much of it like being in like I don't know, not from an English speaking perspective. How about that? Keep going.
yes, and I think that in terms of broadening the perspective on Egypt and Egyptian people within mummy movies, it made strides. It still feels like for the majority there, the other than the detective, their kind of background to again be like, now back to the
Yeah.
white family who was living in Egypt, and now they're not even living in Egypt, they're living in
Exactly.
Albuquerque, which is chosen to have a similar sort of
Feel.
climate in many ways, and it's a lot of also dirt and dust and dry and arid and blah blah blah. But then again, for his mummy design, he was like, and I didn't want to do all of these. They went to like a museum on mummies in the UK, and they didn't film in Egypt either, as far as I can tell. They filmed in Spain and Ireland, I think.
Yeah.
But he was like, we ended up going with a design that's more like bog mummies, and so it's like not even the mummy
Mm-hmm.
design is very mummy in terms of the Egyptian sense of the word.
Okay, yeah, I did think,
And so
yeah,
that lends itself
they
to being
don't
like
look like
wet
that.
instead of dry again. So
Ugh, I
like I
love a
said,
bog mummy.
there are some strides being made, but there's also a lot going on where it's like, well, if your goal was to center Egyptian culture a little bit more,
It
I
should have
didn't really
taken
get
place in
that.
I think that it was probably a logistics issue too. If they're not ever shooting in Egypt, to like
Mm-hmm.
really like land being in Egypt and having it all be there, it would have been cool for it to all be there. Then you could have really like dived into the culture a little bit more, but like taking it out and putting it in America, I guess that's like, I think I already said this, but like bringing it home to where like this, I don't know, where James wanted Jason Blum's hometown of Albuquerque, New Mexico. No, I made that up. But like
You
bringing
know, he said he
it
watched
to
like Breaking Bad or
America.
something, and he was like, "Whoa, cool
I love
location."
Albuquerque.
Who
He's
does
a
it?
really Lee Cronin is a funny cutie, by the way, though. Great accent, adorable. I did really enjoy his parts of all the interviews.
Because he's Irish,
Um,
right?
yeah,
So it
that's
makes
why I
sense that
did
he's pulling from
Dublin.
his cultural knowledge, but
Yeah, and that's like where the like folk horror influence comes in too. I mean, okay, I don't need it to be like other mummy movies necessarily. Like I did really love the fucking like skin thing where it was like
Yes.
actually I like the concept. I like the concept that this is like a mummy movie and the fact that like it's kind of a mummy. They're kind of mummies and there's a sarcophagus and that's exciting. And oh, by the way, the sarcophagus, it's like very different than the sarcophagi we usually see. Do you say sarcophagi? I just went with that. I think it is.
that
That's
feels
how
right
you
in my
say it,
heart.
plural. That
Yeah.
feels right. It
I
felt really
like I
good.
like the
It felt
sound of it in my ears, so we'll go with it.
it felt really good coming out. So sarcophagi. Usually they're much more ornate and there's carvings and like hieroglyphics and stuff on it. But this one was completely void of that, all black, like obsidian. And then it was lightly inspired by a cobra because it's lightly cobra shaped, they said. But it was also inspired by 2001 A Space Odyssey. And if you
Hmm.
look back at it, you can totally see the influence. It's very cool. I love that because it does look very space age, especially the way that, like, when it falls out of the plane where it's sitting straight up, it feels like the monolith or whatever from
Mm-hmm.
2001: A Space Odyssey. I loved that. So that was a cool thing. See, I learned one fact. I learned maybe there'll be another fact that'll come up. But I really liked that part of it. I loved. I think it's an interesting concept, like to not go down the treaded path of like resurrection and like preparing for the afterlife with the mummies and pharaohs and all of that, and instead be like, this is actually like a plague demon, it seemed from that brief montage that we got, because it looked like there's some like plague like things happening to people. I don't know. Maybe I just put plague in there because I've seen
Plague.
Prince of Egypt too many times. Uh, but like those hieroglyphics of the people like dying and stuff like that. That was cool. Or like no, it wasn't hieroglyphics. It was just drawings. I'm sorry, ancient drawings, ancient Egyptian drawings of whatever happens to you. But I love the idea of it actually being a demon. I think like the lore they created was cool. It was cool. Like you have to wrap it in these these words that like keep it contained, and like that it's like a curse on the family because it forces you all to have to maintain this demon and keep it at bay, and you have to steal children every like 50 years to like
You don't
keep
have to
it
steal
contained.
children, but if you're
Could be
trying to
anyone,
protect your child from
but
having
a
to do
child.
this, you want to try and
Yeah.
send it to my grandchildren 80 years from now, and hopefully I'll be dead by then, and I won't have to deal with the guilt of
Or
knowing
you only
who's
have to
doing
do it
that.
once. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Nobody wants to do
That's
that
what I think is
twice.
so interesting. I'm so interested in the family who is dealing with this curse and like what the setup of it is. And they give us the teeniest, tiniest little
Yeah.
bit, but filtered through this one woman's perspective that leaves me just very curious about what is going on there, because she is saying like, I'm so proud to have this responsibility. I'm the firstborn, so I'm the one who does this, and it's my honor to do this to ensure my family will remain protected. And so it's like, is the curse on their family specifically that Marian will get them if they don't do this? Would the evil be unleashed on the world if they don't do this? And their family is just like the keepers of it somehow. I want to know so much more about that. And if she is like kind of unique in having the perspective where she's like, I'm proud to have this responsibility, like I'm a noble hero, or is it like everybody else thinks that it is so terrible we have to make this sacrifice, but it's for the world, and so blah. I want to know if that is the way the whole family thinks about it. Clearly not Layla, but if that's the way, generally speaking, that tradition is handed down, or if like that's her personality that leads her to present herself so callously about it all.
Yeah. I think it is like that would take over the world kind of thing. Because I think like in that little montage, like I said the word plague, like I think it was like swiping through the
Communities
town,
and stuff.
the
Yeah.
communities. Yeah,
It
because
talks
like
about how it like wiped out like whole communities and stuff like that. So it like
yeah,
wouldn't stop.
it
I would
doesn't seem like he's
love
gonna stop.
a prequel.
I know. I'm like, if this movie is just the entry point to that lore, they're like, we have to make a movie about an American family first to get American audiences hooked, and then we can go back to what's going on in Egypt. Like, that would be an annoying studio choice to a degree, to be like, Americans can't possibly relate to people
Yeah.
from other cultures. We'll have
But
to
they're gonna
just,
do
we'll
that.
have to just tease it to them and then get them hooked. But if that's what this movie ends up being, I'm very open to that possibility, because like I said, I think there's a much more interesting movie just beyond the borders of this movie.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, this is a slight pivot. Like, oh yeah, like they did center a little bit more of like Egyptian actors and like that perspective for a little bit, but then like they did villainize them so
Yeah, that's
much.
what I
The
think. It's like,
only good
if this
person, I'm using scare quotes, blah blah blah, Dahlia, Detective
mhm.
Dahlia, and like May oh my god, sorry, Kalamawi's like character, who I'm in love with her. I'm going to talk about it quietly, and then I'm going to talk about it loud soon, but soon, not yet. But like her boss at the
Mhm.
detective agency police, no one knows. He was, villainized because he was accusing Charlie and Larissa of like having done something to their daughter. So that like he was villainized. And then of course the magician, she's villainized. Um, Layla isn't necessarily, but like she's an accessory, she's more of a like shown as a victim, but like the only like Egyptian person with agency that they give is Dahlia. Like everybody else is like medium or bad portrayal. So actually, I take back some of the nice kudos I gave. Interesting
Yeah,
story though.
yeah, I agree. And I think that that's part of my interest in the family, is like, if this is an evil that would be unleashed upon the whole world, then they're sorry to say, maybe they could treat sacrificing a little girl with a little more sanctity or solemnity, instead of being like, well, it's our pleasure. But if they're saving the whole world, then you could argue that they have a noble purpose, and it's
Yeah,
just the
but they're
way that
not
they go
painted that
about it
way.
is. But then they're like, see, the mom, she's evil, she's a bitch in the beginning, she has a headache, she crushes the dead bird in her
Yeah.
dead evil spooky hand, and she
Also,
cuts her daughter's tongue out, and
exactly.
um like the way that they portray them is not very
It's not consistent either.
becoming. Yeah.
Because then she's like in front of Katie, like fattening her up with chocolates. I want to eat that chocolate, by the way. The like Tuts chocolate. I
Yeah,
was like,
it looked
oh, I
really
want to
good.
try it really bad. But she's like, I hope you can forgive me. And she's so
Yeah.
shaken also. Of course, she's just lost her husband in a very
Hmm.
gruesome face ripping off accident.
Yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah.
Nar nar.
And that's one of my discussion questions is I don't know that they give her a name even in the credits or if
No,
they just call her the magician.
it's the magician on IMDb.
Yeah, but is her character like were they using Layla to groom Katie because they knew eventually this day would come?
Yeah.
Or it's
Yes,
like
a
when the dark
100%.
signs started to show, they were like, oh, and my daughter plays with this little girl who's not even from here, and so that'll die down quicker than a local girl.
Which
No,
I
I
don't
think
They
they
know
were
she
think
has no ties
grooming
to the
it
her.
area. They know
would.
she lives alone. Like it could just
This
be a
is
crime of
like a white reporter's,
opportunity.
like a
Yeah.
foreign white reporter's daughter.
Yeah, this
That
is gonna
seems
be
like it
Battle in the Camp
wouldn't go
forever.
away, actually.
Well, I
But
think
at least
also
the
though
family
they
would
might
maybe
be
not
more
be.
naive
Mhm.
of what like is going on. I don't know,
Or maybe like
because
they
they're
have, I mean,
tourists.
their family clearly has been here a long time. They don't have enough influence to like have their area not be flooded for whatever purpose that served. I don't know enough about Egypt climate or farming practices to know. They said they'd been in a drought for a really long time, but maybe that was in the beginning of the movie. I don't know. Anyway, so they don't have enough sway to like stop that from happening, which is why they had to move the sarcophagus in the first place, which is what allowed the evil to be freed. But I could see them having some sort of relationship
Oh,
with the police, maybe, and that's why he's like, let's just bury this. Or like they know that a family who is an outsider is not going to be given the same
well, that's it.
consideration,
That's
maybe.
what it
And
is. That's why she chose them. Yes, it is more high profile because he's on air or whatever. But that one cop or detective was like, I don't know who the fuck you are. So he's obviously not that popular.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like to make her, the magician, feel better about who they take because it's not someone who's a part of their community necessarily. You
it's
know what
not
I
like they're
mean?
going to see the parents forever after this. You know what I mean? It's not somebody, they clearly don't live near that city either.
Yeah.
So,
I think yeah, that makes sense to me to be like, okay, well, I'm not like taking like a poor Egyptian child. These are just these random fucking white people who are here.
and
Fuck
we
them.
keep saying white, but the half the family is
Yeah,
Latino as
they're
well,
Latino.
or
Yeah.
Hispanic of some kind, but
Yeah.
Hmm.
um
Also,
that's
I
worth mentioning. But
loved Larissa, who played the mom, or who was the mom. Leia is her real name. I think that's how you say it. Laia. Leia. She's gorgeous. She's so great. Every woman who is in this is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Now it's time to talk about it. It's all the most beautiful women I've ever seen. I am obsessed with Detective Dahlia. She looks exactly like Aaliyah Shawkat and this girl that was part of my bisexual awakening in high school combined together. And Aaliyah Shawkat is also big crush number one for me. Big collab of their faces together turned into the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. I was like, just everybody shut up and just listen to her and do what she says, and I'll do what she says. And I love her, and I hope she knows. I hope she can feel that love. She's beautiful. And she was really good in this too. I think she did a really good job, like acting wise. The performances were really good. I was very impressed by all the children.
yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
everybody did a good job. And she held her own in terms of representing the Egypt half of the storyline, where it was like primarily her over there. And that part of the movie was inspired by Seven, which is interesting to know now that we've covered this. That was one of his like
That's so
cultural
funny.
touchstones.
That's right there. The
Um,
grittiness and the like depressing nature of it. Like the older cop guy was like the Morgan Freeman character being like, I like like you're not gonna bring anybody home. They're all dead. Blah blah blah. Like jaded or whatever. And she's the young uh Brad Pitt character. I get it. I see it. It's right there.
and she kind of serves a dual role as both of them herself too, with
Yeah,
the
as
time
she
skip to 8 years
ages.
later. Because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we see her in the beginning, she's only pulled in because she speaks English well. Um, not that we really get any engagement at all with her character development over time, but we can see that when she was a young officer, she was a hijabi, and now she's no longer wearing her hijab. So there's been some kind of change within her in that regard too. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
like before I
Has
was
a
doing
nice
what was
subtle
expected of
touch.
me, and now I have come into a version of myself where I'm confident in my police work, and I also am making my own choices for how I present myself, blah, blah, whatever, I don't know.
Or is
But
it a lack of like a
I've
loss of
lost my
faith?
faith. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, who knows?
So
But
I read it as a loss of faith, but yeah,
Right,
either
because
way.
her boss is like, she's like, you've found 100 and blah 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 people. That means like that's 7 people a year that you find. And he's like, they're all, most of them are dead.
Yeah.
I did get
And then
closure, but
right, he's like,
is
and
that
most
They
of them are
were
okay?
dead.
dead
And so
bodies.
I
Yeah.
kind of took it as a like because now she's in this job
Mm-hmm.
and she's doing it, so she's kind of losing faith in.
Yeah.
A higher power or whatever. And then
Yeah.
now
But she's like the
they're
young rookie, and
confronted
now
with
she's like the
demon.
wizened, tired of it all. But one more case maybe will change things.
And now they're all believing in demons. That yeah, okay, it got very exorcisty too.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that was
It
another
is a
one of
demon.
the things that I saw that was talked about where it was very like Egyptian culture versus like Catholicism and those two things interacting. So all of the like which is very much like how the grandma's perspective. She's really bringing the Catholicism into the picture. She prays a lot. She has her rosary. There's a priest at the funeral later, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Ugh. I think it's just like because the demon is catching and it can just whisper to you and possess you because she like possesses her brother and her young sister Maud. It's so deadite, man. I don't know. I wish it didn't function the way that it did. Like I thought it was fucking sick as hell. All the weird, crazy, spooky things that those children did and the grandma did. Like, don't get me wrong, it was disgusting. We'll get there, but like for trying to do something brand new with the mummy, they're just kind of doing like two other franchise things. I don't know. It's hard. Like there are only so many things you can do. But I feel like there's something we could have done that was different. It just looked the same. It just looked the same. It looked like the way they moved and the like saying like cunt. That's so
Yeah.
exorcist.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
It's like
What's the craziest thing that can happen? A little girl saying cunt.
you're a rat-faced cunt.
That was pretty crazy.
I mean, this certainly isn't the first movie to ever do stuff like that, but it did have me kind of thinking about it, where I was like, the demons are so sexual in this movie.
Just like the
And
exit.
you could argue that it's not all necessarily sexual per se, but it is framed that way a lot of the time, like licking a little child's toes.
That was weird.
Uh-huh.
That was weird. There were so many things where I was like, this is a little weird to me. And I
they're
don't
also
know if
trying to
I'm just so America brained in terms of we're on a constant real or not real pedophile hunt these days, I guess. But it felt very strange, some of it, especially with the brother too being like, do you want to come undress me?
dress me.
Yeah.
That was like an incest plug for sure.
And
Incest
I was
plug.
like, is
I'm
it
sorry.
the kind of thing where they're just like, this is the most diabolical, upsetting, disruptive thing I can possibly think of? But then I'm also
Yes,
like, everything is so
that's
sexual. Are they just trying to unnerve me or unnerve their intended victim? Or is there something here about sexuality that's kind of painted as inherently evil? Or I don't know. It just was like there's kind of weird vibes going on with this. Not to be a
exactly that
Puritan about it,
voice. Not
but
to be a fucking Puritan about it. Exactly that voice you just made. Where it's like, oh, what's the grossest fucking thing?
I'm gonna
Let's
get them.
do
Yeah.
something that they never expect, and they'll vomit in their seats. Like that's like what I felt like Lee Cronin was saying this whole time. Except he has an Irish accent, which I can't do, and so I can't do the voice in an
Try
Irish
it.
accent. I don't
Do
know how. It would be really bad.
it.
I just tried to think about how to do it and I got scared. So we're not gonna do that. But like imagine an Irish person being like,
I'll make them.
you know what I mean?
No, I started
No,
for a
oh my
second. I backed out immediately. Well,
I don't
you
know
guys,
what
you'll
sound
have to
I just
imagine it
heard from you.
for yourself.
I'm gonna clip just that part and put on repeat. Dead. That's so funny. Yeah, that's exactly what it boils down to for like this type of horror that does grinds my gears a little bit. It just like
Mhm.
almost feels like it's not quite the same as the torture porn stuff of Y2K, but like it's reminiscent of that for me, where it's just like, let's go 5 degrees further than you thought we'd ever go. And I'm like, that's just not what that's not what I come to horror for. I want to get scared. I love getting scared, but it's just like it's just it's not my direction. It's not my direction.
It feels like it's the kind of thing. I mean, it's interesting because this line specifically, when the grandma at the end has her leg up on the table and she's like, "Well, you want to feast on this or whatever?" Like that was one of the
Yeah.
That
things
was
mentioned.
so gross.
Sure, and that was one of the things mentioned in the interview where it was like, "Oh, it just like came to me in the moment, and I suggested it to the actress, and she was like, yeah,' and then I can be like, taste it,' and so they're like so much fun. Like, okay, great for you guys. But it feels again like it's part of that horror trope of like, what's the
Fucking your
scariest thing you
mother-in-law.
can think of? An
Fucking
old
your
woman who wants
mother-in-law.
to fuck and she's kind of gross. It's like, okay,
She's
I
a
know.
corpse.
She's old and
Yeah.
she's horny and she's a woman, so you don't like how can I make a woman that you don't want to fuck but she wants to fuck you scared now? Like, okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also it's just like such a combo pack of like every movie I've literally ever seen before. And again, horror loves to make references. But this
Mhm.
was The Boy Mummy Edition. 100%. You can't tell me it wasn't. I won't say why, but you know why. Walls. There you go. Said that. That's all I'm going to say. They're in the walls. Think about the wall. They're in the walls.
Really did not get there on my own, so I'm glad you said it.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. It's The Boy Mummy Edition. That's what this movie is. For a big part of it.
2026 has a lot of things in the walls, like Scream 7. They were in the walls.
Yes. What was the
There's something
other?
else.
Like there's another one
Oh,
They Will Kill You, right?
in the walls.
Chelsea? Wasn't that the part?
crawl spaces of some kind.
There's
I feel
crawl
like
spaces.
next week's movie has some of that, maybe a little bit, sort of. Maybe not in the walls
Yeah.
per se.
Not in the walls per
There
se.
was
There's a
something
little
else that was
something.
in the walls recently
Well,
too,
okay,
though.
there's something. I think it was They Will Kill You. You and I were watching that, and they were behind the wall, just like Scream 7. And I turned to
Mm.
you, and I was like, "Did it better than Scream 7." Um, but I don't know if it was They Will Kill You. You can tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I love to be wrong. Okay, sorry. More things that they're ripping off. When the grandma is defenestrated, and thank God someone's defenestrated, and we can say that word. That means being thrown out the window. Uh, in case you didn't know, that's
We're
that's
just
your
for that, so
vocab
that's
word
fun.
of the day. Defenestrated. You never get to say that. When she's defenestrated, and then immediately the wolves descend, and by that I mean the coyotes, which reminded me of the movie Coyotes, which made me really angry. When I saw the coyotes, I was like, "Don't fucking!" I was like, "Are they AI?" I got
Yeah,
so mad.
they were.
But and then the coyotes descend immediately, and then they just start ripping all of her entrails out. I was like, we've all seen Frozen, so this has been done.
Yeah.
They're very niche references. Frozen's kind of a niche one. I don't know, but exorcism,
Yeah, our
Deadite,
patrons
Evil
were talking
Dead.
about Evil Dead a lot, and I thought that that was interesting because I also felt like the funeral stuff reminded me a lot of Drag Me to Hell, which is also from Sam
Yes.
Raimi.
But
Again, gross
also,
out.
shout out to deviled eggs in the funeral
Oh,
scene. Chelsea, my little deviled egg.
That's
Chelsea, our little deviled
me. That is
egg.
me.
I'm gonna be honest with
It
you.
was gross
I
out.
almost threw up in the
Yeah.
wake scene.
Yeah, it was
I
so funny,
actually something
but
started coming
so
up a little
gnar.
bit. That's the closest I've ever gotten to barfing in a horror movie, which is why I go to the movies, of course. Thank God I hadn't eaten any chicken tenders with buffalo sauce at the beginning, which I was almost part of my plan.
I was
And I brought
eating
one.
my Twizzlers. I had my purse Twizzlers,
Yeah,
and
of course.
Of course.
As one does.
as one does. And like after that scene, I became like incredibly nauseous, and it hit me when what's her name? Katie was
Yeah.
licking up the embalming
That's it.
fluid from
No.
the
Yeah.
floor. And when I
Oh,
tell you, I saw this
that was one.
movie at like I went to a 1:10 showing. And so like I got
Hmm.
out at like 3:30. I think I was nauseous for like a solid 4 hours after.
Yeah.
Like, and I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
and I was like,
fair.
why am I so nauseous? And then I like
Because she
thought
went
about it and I was like,
like a little rat,
ugh. Or like one of the things that like really icked me out was Maud, the little sister.
Hmm.
ripping out her teeth.
No, it wasn't the ripping out her teeth part. It was when she smiled and she was wearing the dentures.
Oh, I
I don't know,
Oh,
loved
like
that though.
the thought
that did
of
fuck.
like
That did fuck. See, there's
wearing
good
your
ideas. There's good
grandparents'
things happening.
denture.
Hmm.
Ooh, God, I just gagged
It's
again.
it's so
Oh,
interesting. There if you like gross out stuff, there were lots of gross out moments. For me,
toenail.
when the blood got
Ugh.
spit on the deviled eggs, I think I did make a noise in the theater where I went like ugh, or something like that.
I made that noise like 5 times. I
Yeah.
was like, "Hello, strangers."
Yeah, the toenail as well. That feels a little Black Swan, but yes, that moment too. But the dentures part is very interesting to me because Lee Cronin was talking about it was the name of the article that I read was like fake rumors and real grief. Because apparently his mom died the day that he finished working on Evil Dead Rise, and so she didn't get to see it. And he used that grief as part of his work on this movie. And one
Oh.
of the real life details that he incorporated was his brother called him and was like, make sure mom has her fake teeth in for her wake. Like, that's she wanted to have a wake, make sure she's got her fake teeth. So it's interesting to me that that is how it came into the work here.
This one goes out to you, Mama. Love you, baby.
She'd be so
Peace
proud of
up to
this movie.
mommy.
I don't know. I think the funeral is
Jesus.
interesting because it is like if we're doing Egypt and Islam and Catholicism and America, there could have been an interesting conversation that centered around American embalming practices versus mummification, but it didn't
Mm-hmm.
really engage with that beyond being like, isn't it gross? She's slurping up the fluids that came out of the body where she bit a hole and it toppled to the ground. It's like, okay, all right. That's as far as we're going.
Yeah, cool. Cool.
Also, speaking of the funeral scene,
Wh-
Mm-hmm.
um, Katie clawing her way through the vomit spot in the floor that corroded the floor. One,
vomit.
why didn't they clean up that vomit spot?
I think
I
they must
think
have,
they
but the
did.
nature of her demonic evil
It was-
form.
Demon vomit. And as you know, demon vomit is highly corrosive.
Good to know. Also, I don't know, but the scurrying around was just like really unsettling for me. Like every time, like when they were like running through the walls and stuff, I was like, bah, bah.
She did most of that herself. Natalie Grace.
Great.
Love her. Love that queen. She's out
I
there
want
scurrying
to
for her life.
know. What an icon. I want to know more about the lore that they were working with and that they pulled in that it already existed versus like what they added. I want to know like what is established here because they didn't really engage with like the rules of it. It's not like an actual Evil Dead movie where it's like, oh, we have the Necronomicon, we can read it and see blah 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 blah.
We could read it out loud. That fucking
We can read it
blonde
out loud and
bastard
we
in
will.
the 2013 one.
Eric.
Eric.
But I want to know like what the rules are for things, or if he was just like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if she's sprinting through the crawl spaces? Because it's like we have that moment where she's like, sorry, I don't know Morse code. But she uses her jaw to communicate Layla
That
to
hurt
her
my teeth.
dad. And that's like the one moment where we see Katie shining through, the real Katie shining through to signify she's still in there. And then he does the Morse code later at the end of the movie, but we don't really seem to get any other moments like that. So I'm like, is the demon kind of recovering from being entombed in the beginning of the movie? It gets stronger as it goes. That certainly makes sense to me, especially once it starts to undress, take off its wound dressings with all of the I don't remember what that language was called. But I want to know, like, is there some sort of war for control? It's like, when she's like locked in and she can't move hardly at all, is it because like the demon isn't at full power? Yeah, I would just want to know. It's like I'm locked in and then I'm running through the crawl spaces actually, but then I'm locked in again. And now way later, after some of the bindings with their writing on them have been taken off, that's when Katie is like Morse coding away with her jaw. I don't know. I'm just like, I want to know more about if there was internal logic that they were working with or not.
I don't really think that's in the other movies, you know.
I want to know more
From
about
the Lex.
Grandma's
I think
house.
they made this shit up. That was a cool ass house.
Like, I want a house that has
the little
like,
little door.
Yeah, that you can walk through the walls in.
No,
Yeah.
nobody wants that. Why is that a thing? There's a little door in my house, but it just went. There's a little door that went to a closet that you can get to from the outside, which seems like a really good way for someone to break into your house. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know why we have that.
My house that I grew up in Ohio had little doors like that, and it had passages, but like mom, like, because my house in Cincinnati was one of the last stops on the Underground Railroad where it was like they would like hide people and like wait. And my parents lost me in the house for a while, and then they found me like just talking to people when I was like 3. And so after that, they're like, we're not allowed to play in these areas. But I was
just go in the walls anymore, Sydney.
Yeah. And like my room had a weird tiny little door that would like go to my parents' closet, and I would hide in it all the time in the middle of the night and scare them. And my dad sealed that up real quick.
Oh my God. Yeah. As one should. But yeah, it's like, I know these things do exist sometimes in real life, and I wonder if it's like a feature of old houses that were sort of pre-electricity, maybe, that needed some sort of, I don't know, because I don't know anything about.
Where will the boogeyman live if not in the walls? They need to create a space for him.
Yeah, because otherwise he's going to be in the room with you, and you don't want that. So you need to have space for him in the walls. But
Of
also
course.
in theory to service like wiring and stuff like that. So maybe post electricity after all, or plumbing sort of things. I there's like a whole I'm thinking of Bob's Burgers,
Yeah.
where there is
Natural
also an
With the
episode where they're
progression.
raccoon.
in the crawl space in the walls. I'm thinking of the one where Louise's glowy guy is like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
I'm thinking of the
um
raccoon that with its babies and the Easter egg.
King Trashmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's all kinds of like but I'm curious what's going on there. And I wouldn't think of that of Albuquerque as having like particularly old
Yeah.
infrastructure, but also I don't know, girl.
I don't
Yeah, I've never
know. I
spent
think
much
they're
time
just
there.
like, this would be cool and they could hide in the walls, and there would
Mm-hmm.
be like a way for the little
There's a
boy
secret
to get to the little
passageway to the
girl's room.
children's
Yeah.
room. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you want to say more on this topic, let me know because I have a different thing I want to discuss that would be kind of a hard pivot.
Pivot away, queen.
Okay, it's just dark. I'm sorry. But like, I'm trying not to be negative, but I'm being negative one more time. It also like was given, okay, this isn't that big of a deal,
Mm-hmm.
but when you think about it for too long, it is so horrific because like the idea when they find Katie, going all the way back to the beginning, when they find her after 8 years, like we have the whole speech from Detective Dahlia where she's like, it's very common here for sex trafficking to or human trafficking to be over they feel synonymous to me. I'm so sorry. To be uh over like hidden in like in the
Black
trade
market
of black
artifacts.
market artifacts, exactly. And
The
so that
perfect
is,
cover. Yeah.
yes. And so that is like what everyone is functioning under the assumption that Katie was like human trafficked for 8 years and is like comatose from that. And they're bringing her home. And they don't like really go into that. And thank God, because I don't want them to. Don't touch it. I don't want you to. But like that is so like such a fucked up backdrop for this demon mummy movie, like they're like, what happened to our daughter? I'm sorry. It's like I'm smiling, but I shouldn't be. But it's like what the worst possible thing that could happen to your daughter has happened. It's so horrific. Like she's locked into her body because of whatever trauma she's experienced that is probably worse than you could ever imagine. And then like for it to be like, actually she's a demon, you know what I mean? I don't know. There's something about that is just like
Honestly,
icky to
I would
me
be
too. I don't
thrilled
know.
to be like, oh, she's just a demon, you know?
Oh my God, thank
Thank
God.
God
Thank
she
At
wasn't
God.
least,
sex trafficked.
yeah.
She's just a demon.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
it was
it's
in
not
like a
great
dark
because the Morse
spot there.
code, yeah, the Morse code kind of implies she has been
Yeah.
conscious this whole time. So it's not
Yeah.
great to have your body taken over by a demon and and
Well,
it's, both are bad options, but yeah, no, I
you know what I'm
think that
saying?
I know what you're saying, and it was one of the things that I was kind of thinking about in terms of like they get their catatonic doctor in Egypt, and the doctor's like, just take her home. And she should
Yeah,
be around
that's
family,
wild.
and that's it. And then they do that. They just take her home. They don't need to. I mean, I guess maybe the police is like, well, she's not responding to questions anyway, so it doesn't. We not don't need to interview her. Just take her home. But they
Yeah.
take her home, and I understand it's like good framework. She's been kidnapped, she's been held against her will, she's maybe been sex trafficked, or they were going to sex traffic her at some point or whatever. She's been horribly abused or neglected at the very least. It's good framework for them to be like, we can't bring in any strangers to treat or evaluate her or take care of her in the home, and we don't want her to be outside of the home because we don't want her to be out of our sight again for another second. So like it makes sense in that capacity. And one of my notes is like they don't question anything, how their previously catatonic daughter is suddenly running through the walls and eating scorpions. And then I was like, well, I guess it can kind of be rationalized as a trauma response.
Trauma
Like she had to
response.
be sneaky, she had to eat what she could, she had to dissociate and go somewhere away inside of herself
Ugh.
to survive everything that's going on, and only when nobody else is around is she like ready to be animate. um but it's so bizarre to me that they're like, this is what the doctor said in Egypt. Not my personal feelings on Egypt. This is what the doctor said on Egypt, the place we famously trusted to investigate our daughter's disappearance, and always were pleased with the professionals over there and how they handled things. Like, they're just like, that one guy said she just needs to go home and be around her family, so that's all we're doing, and we're not interested in any kind of second opinion or
Right? Like
any
you
other
wouldn't
take on
come
like
to
how
America
to.
and come to like more professional opinions.
Here's a thought that I had about this actually. It
Well,
was Katie's
yeah.
not on their insurance because she's been missing for 8 years. So maybe they can't, whatever insurance they might have, the mom is a healthcare worker, but maybe she is part-time. We don't know. The dad is just taking editing work at the news station instead of being an on-camera personality in New York as he was meant to be. So who knows what their situation is insurance-wise anyway. But regardless, their daughter who's been missing would not be an active member of their insurance group.
Ugh,
So
insurance.
maybe they simply could not afford
It's
anything.
the
There's also the whole
American
thing of like,
healthcare system yet again. The
that's
actual
the
villain is
villain.
The
not
Yeah.
the
true villain.
demon.
That's
It's the
mark that
American
down for dumb
healthcare
bitch.
system.
And if they'd gone to the real doctor, they would have immediately been like, Egyptian demon.
They would have immediately known.
Diagnose it right away. No, but it is just like a weird thing that they kind of are, the kidnapping circumstances kind of are able to rationalize like why nobody's looking any closer at what's going on, because the parents are, but the mom especially, is having such a trauma response of like,
Mhm.
I can't let her out of my sight, or I'm a bad parent. I have
Yeah.
healthcare
And she's
experience, so I
also,
need
yeah,
to
a
be able to
nurser.
do I don't trust someone else to be involved, so I'm going to do everything myself, and I have the professional knowledge that in theory would allow me to do this. But like, there's a reason why a therapist can't treat their own child. um
Yeah.
so it's like, it makes sense that they don't bring in any other kind of medical attention at all, and also feels like such a glaring, insane blind spot.
I want to know, like, I want to see TSA's reaction to like them bringing Katie home, and then at the end, which we'll get to. I'm like,
Yeah, and they're like, oh, by the way, we're keeping it
Yeah.
out of the news. It's like, I don't think you are going to be able
How?
to do that,
How
actually.
is that possible?
Don't worry, we're going to keep it out of the news. And it's like, phew.
Oh, thank God. But like, I want to know what, like, I just want to see, I want to like a clip of them walking through the airport. Also, can we please talk about their decisions? They have like Katie, who right when she gets home is like fragile and like looks like this, and they're instead of carrying her up the stairs and then carrying the wheelchair later. Like, I'm like, what are y'all doing?
Her
Mhm.
bones are gonna break.
We are
Every
not
day,
touching
my
her body without
bones
her
break.
permission. We're just going to womp, womp,
Well,
womp
but then
her up the
they
stairs.
see, you see her, them carrying her to put her in the bed. I was like, why didn't you just carry her up the stairs?
Why didn't they soak her feet before giving her a little pedicure? Why
Like,
didn't they soften those nails?
they should have got some clompers, like those little
They need a
things. Did you
Dremel
see
for
how
that
thick
shit.
her toenails were?
Lee Cronin was so excited about that. He's like, "Yeah, I ruined the pedicure industry." I'm like, "Shut up, you didn't."
Not my
But
pedicure industry. How dare you try and take pedicures from
you
me?
should listen to I listened to his interview with James Wan, Jason Blum, and Dead Meat podcast. They did like an event, say something. And he was like talking about his other movies. He's like, yeah, my sister, she like works as like a podiatrist or something like that, like a foot doctor, something,
Mhm.
or she's like knows about pedicures. I honestly don't fucking remember that part detail. So he's like, so I know about all about feet and blah 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 blah. And then he was bringing up another one of his movies, and he's like, oh yeah, there was like a foot part in that too. He was like, huh, you guys are gonna think I kind of have an obsession. He's like, okay, I'm gonna change the subject.
I do think licking this little girl's toes on camera, I think that was if you're trying to say you don't have
It's
a foot thing going
diabolical.
on, it's just
Giving
a little weird.
enemy of the pod, Quentin Tarantino, a run for his money.
Mhm.
For real. I mean, like,
I
you
mean,
can have a foot fetish. That's fucking fine. Just like, don't make it like with a little kid. I
That's
know.
what
yeah,
I'm saying. Licking toes
Two
is
little
fine.
kids.
Licking children's toes, not chill.
Not
I
good.
can
That's on the
see,
no-no list for
yeah,
sure.
I can
Especially in
see how it's,
2026.
I can see how it's attempting to be not a perversion of a real thing, but a subversion of like little kids. We play with their toes and we go nom 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 nom, and it's like innocent, it's cute, it's fun, and little piggies go to the market. So I'm gonna take this innocent children's thing and I'm going to make it scary,
Make it
spooky,
well,
but it's
it's
just
making it like perverse though. You know what I mean? Whenever
mm-hmm.
they had like the opportunity, like not just to make things like gross or like scary, it's like perverted version of it. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
take that route every time. And when I don't know, it's not the same thing, but like it steers that way. I think of Last House on the Left, the one from 2011 or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It just like goes into the like sex zone, and I don't like the sexual like horror, like using sexual things as horror, because then like I just like hate, like it's not, I'm not saying like the toe licking is equated to rape, but it goes into the same like genre for me, and I'm just like, okay, that's my bridge too far, you know what I mean? And also in that same vein, and I'm sorry to go so dark with it, I think like the darkest scene in this entire movie is when we have, thank God, Detective Dahlia's in the United States of America with us. Thank you. Thank you. And she has got the tape from Layla, and she's playing the tape for the parents, and
Yeah.
they have to watch what happened to their daughter.
That was a
And then
great
Charlie
scene.
stops it and is like, I don't want to see it. And they're like, I don't know, like, you know, it's a demon thing, but like, I'm still thinking about the sex trafficking, human trafficking thing we were just talking about as that scene happens, and having to watch like something that's not necessarily dissimilar from that. Like, so, like something like taking over their child's
Technically, something is
body.
unfortunately penetrating her body. It's just a
A
demon entering her
demon.
mouth.
Yeah.
It's like that shit's really fucking rough.
And
That was
Charlie kind
horrific.
of already knew because we went on a field trip to college in Albuquerque where they're doing
Professor Bixler.
Bixler. Apparently, Bixler
Archaeology
is someone's
101.
name in Evil Dead Rise, so that's just a little nod for you. I don't know if there's an actual connection, but
Ugh. Yeah. So it goes there. It really goes there. I love when I watch a movie and I'm like, well, it went there. Though I don't. That's not like, I don't know. That's just like, you're just doing it to be like, let's be fucking freaky. And I'm like, okay, you did it.
it.
You freaked
Oh,
me out. I bile rose in my throat and it almost came out my mouth at the AMC 16. So thank you for that.
that scene was strange to me also, just in I mean, it was like an interesting swap for the characters because earlier the dad was the one investigating, being like, don't you want to know what happened to her? We can't help her if we don't know what happened to her. And the mom was just like, she's here now and we have her back, and that's good enough for me, and I can do everything by myself. And the dad is like, she needs to get help somewhere else. And the mom is like, why? Because you can't stomach what's going on with her? Get real. And then so to flip it, it's like, he's like,
Got real.
I can't see it. And she's like, I have to see it. Like, okay, but just the placement of this scene felt so strange. It felt like it kind of slowed down the pace to be like, let's stop and watch this videotape for a few minutes. And it was also like shit has completely hit the fan in their household already. The funeral scene already
The
happened
children
where
are left
somebody
alone.
crawled through the floor. The daughter pulled out all of her teeth. The son has been banging his head until he's bleeding. And then they're like, yeah, we just put each of our children in their rooms and it's fine and everybody's contained. So we can sit down here and watch a videotape. Um, and it goes on so long, and it is like, if if this had happened earlier in the movie and the parents needed to see it to believe that something of ancient Egyptian evil was going on in their home, it would make more sense to be like, you must watch this. But it's like, no, girl, I think they're already convinced to me. It seemed they were convinced to
Yeah.
me already. You can just tell them if they just like showed the beginning with Layla and then they like kind of fast forwarded through the rest of it, that would, I don't know, it was just one of those things where it's like this storytelling here, it's for the audience to see this more than it's for the parents to see this. But we could have watched it with the detective.
I can understand though the parents wanting to see it, and then they also like need to do that as a plot device. Obviously, it's all a plot device for them to hear the magician say, "You can do it with anybody, but it's best with a child because it'll last longer." You needed to hear that out loud and have Charlie hear that out loud so he can make that sacrifice in a few minutes. And then also you need to have a reminder for Dahlia to hear all the words that are spoken so it's not as preposterous that she has the entire incantation memorized 5 minutes later, which is preposterous, by the way.
She
But
watched
Yeah.
it
goddamn, if
multiple
anyone
times.
could, it's Detective Dahlia. My God.
Honestly,
Well,
the
what they
biggest
could have
miracle was
done,
that they had a VHS tape
I know.
in the house.
Thank God they're at grandma's house.
Oh, yeah,
But
there
no,
you
I
go.
thought they could have done something similar where it's like they stop it after the magician's explanation, or they stop it after we see Katie being put in position or whatever. It's like you don't need to see the rest. And then when it's time to
But
do the
they
transfer, now that they know that anybody can be used, he's like, use me, I'll sacrifice myself for my family or whatever. They could play the rest of the tape then so that the incantation, the recording of the incantation is like what's being used the second time. And that's when we
but
see
I
the
don't
rest
know
of
if
the
that would
tape
work.
play.
I feel like it has to be the energy of a person. I don't know. I feel like a recording wouldn't do it unless you're a Deadite and you play that recording that one time and that did it.
I
But
know, 'cause
this
I know this is an Evil
isn't
Dead
Evil
movie.
Dead.
Excuse me.
They're very clear about that, even though it looks exactly and feels exactly like an Evil Dead movie. It's like it gets a little silly, goofy movie, but
Yeah,
like
I am
it's just
looking
like
at
the
a quote
Goofy
right
movie in a
now.
lot of ways. But I'm kidding.
The
But
one with
it's not.
Goofy.
Yeah, it's just like the Goofy movie in a lot of
It's just
ways.
like, like Max from the Goofy movie. It's like just
You
like that.
know, yeah,
Yeah.
You know how there's the
Let
hot
me
girl in the Goofy
listen
movie? It's like
to
that's the detective here.
Child Inside.
There's
Mine will
the
never
quote that I'm
be
looking at
far.
right now is the mom saying, I can fix her, I can do it. And the dad says, not if you're burying your head in the sand. So I guess it's like they have to watch the tape and that's how they can fix it. They can do it because they're not burying their head in the sand.
Yeah. And the reason that we're seeing it and they're playing it all the way through and not doing any of the great edits that you just said is because they want to take it there and have it go all the way and have us watch a child be hoisted like with their arms spread apart and put over a dead corpse demon body and have the oogly googly go into her mouth. Like they want you to see that, which is a hard thing to like watch. I don't know. It's fine. It's not like they broke the law, but like they're just like going. I mean, the law. It's probably like there's laws against that, I'm sure, but like they didn't break the movie rules. But it's just like again another gross out. Let's take it there. Do the voice. Do the voice. I almost said Italian style, Ireland style. insert Irish voice
Mhm.
here, you know? They're
Mhm.
doing that again, and it's just like, okay, I am rolling my eyes, and I don't feel good. And again, no one was there to hold my hand.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there is interesting stuff in this movie. Like
I'm sure.
the opening line of the movie that someone speaks is the dad saying, "Come on, Layla, let me hear that sweet voice." And so for
Oh,
her character to have her tongue cut out later, it's like, it's kind of a curious full circle of like they're doing some interesting callbacks and such. And I did like the dentures in the baby mouth. I liked that part. Um, but again, I'm more interested in what is going on with the family who is holding the curse rather than the family who is dealing with the I wanted more of them because I loved her whole explanation. The dark signs have begun to show once more, warning us that the time has come to recommit to the containment of our ancient family secret. This will be the 82nd mummification ritual, and as the firstborn child, I am honored to carry this great responsibility of ensuring that our family will remain protected from the evil reach of the Nazmaranian. I commit this testament so that in the decades to come, your children will know that what they must do when it is their time to transfer this demon from a spent vessel to a freshly prepared host. Like, I want to see more of the emotional journey there because you get hints of it, but I want to see more of the emotional journey there of like
yeah.
distancing yourself from the sacrifice of a real human child that you may not know personally, but your daughter has a personal relationship with. And like, but I'm doing this to protect my daughter from an ancient evil. And I'm doing this so that my children never have to be the ones to sacrifice someone in their lifetime, hopefully. They have to be the keepers of the sarcophagus, but hopefully they don't have to do the sacrifice themselves because she says in there, like, your children can do this one day as opposed to her children. Um, so I mean, I don't know. I think that that is what I'm engaged with
Yeah.
more because in terms of the family that's going on, it feels like their emotional journeys are used more for the logic of the storytelling rather than me feeling connected to any of their emotional journeys. Like the mom is scared, the dad is frustrated. He's like, "Why do I take all the blame?" Blah blah. There's stuff happening there, and maybe it's just because there's so much else going on. Um, but then still at the end of the movie, there's no like reckoning with the fact that their daughter might have been human trafficked. You know what I mean? And then at the end,
Yeah.
it's like they get the demon out of her and she's like, "I'm a normal kid again." It's like, okay, well, you still
With a really
were
bad
held
wig.
against your will and in a sarcophagus and had a demon put inside of your body for 8 years. And then, you know what? Like, this is still a horrific experience.
Yes.
This family overall seems like really well adjusted. Like, because most of the time, like, even when they're back, you know what I mean? Other than the fact that like they've never gone on vacation and they like don't want
Yeah,
like
that
their
was
son
Son
interesting. That was
John, that
interesting
was
Sebastian
in the
good.
to
beginning.
like
Yeah.
go away, right? But like most of the time when a family loses a child, by either way, like they get divorced. Like that's like a
Yeah.
really common,
And
and
you
also too, like let's not forget she was pregnant when Katie was taken, and now they have a baby who is literally the exact same age that Katie was when she was abducted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
mhm.
know what I mean? Like, clearly there's some issues because they have that little brief verbal fight in the hall, but you would think that there would be more.
See,
Like,
that's
But the movie's already over 2 hours. There's no
I
space.
well, that's the thing though. Look at all the things we've just listed, and like that's like not even talking about the Egyptian family that we were discussing previously. There's like it's rife with all of these interesting plot like notes, like interesting things happening to the characters, and instead of like diving into some of these more real world things, like we can still have the mummy. I'm not saying no mummy. and like getting into the horror of those realities and some of that stuff, they just go with the gross out horror option, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Instead of
They choose
showing
gross out every time.
the dad reckoning with the fact that his daughter is alive and he missed 8 years of being her father, and he may never get to be her father in the way that he imagined ever again if she doesn't recover from what he thinks is this horrific human trafficking experience that has left her locked inside of her body. Instead of really engaging with that, they just have the demon child say, you'll never get her back. I'm her daddy now.
Yeah, that was so weird.
It's like, okay,
They
now
gotta
it
do
feels
that
like you're
though.
doing
It's
daddy
so important.
stuff.
You gotta say the little kids licking the toes. 100% has to happen. They gotta gobble up embalming fluid, of course. Gotta rip out all their teeth, and of course they have to say some weird, sexy daddy thing. It has to be. They just go this weird sexual route every time. When when she said, "Oh brother, come help me get undressed," I was like, what the fuck are they
Right?
gonna do
Yeah.
now? I was like, they're
Do
gonna
you
show
want
it.
to unwrap
They're gonna
me?
do it. I was like, of
Yeah.
course there's gonna be incest. I almost maybe said that out loud. I was like, of course. Of course.
Why wouldn't
We were headed in that direction. How did I not see this coming? Of course.
there?
Good God, Lee. Are you okay?
Yeah. It feels like one of those things that is, and I don't know, it's a movie, it's designed to make you react, blah, blah, whatever. Okay, that's true. But it just feels, again, it's like the internal logic does not necessarily feel like it supports what we get. It feels so like hand of the author. Here's what I, as a modern day person, know audiences to think is scandalous, because it could be like another word for bandages is dressing. So it's like you're taking your bandages off, you're taking your dressings off, you're being undressed. It could be like an unintentional thing where the audience is going, what am I about to see? And then it's like not that, but instead they like, bet you thought this brother was gonna undress his demon sister, didn't
Like,
you?
my
It's like,
bangs
all
are in the way.
right.
He's like doing the little eyebrow thing, like, oh, you bet. You, I bet you thought something real sick was gonna happen. No, we won't go that far, but we'll poke at it. Don't you worry. God damn, it's just not my style. I'm sorry.
Another thing that I just feel compelled to mention, that it's not the same because she's still a very big star. In fact, one of our biggest still to this day. Um, but it kind of felt to me like all of the Harry Potter references and Over Your Dead Body last week, like that this 8-year-old girl is like, Taylor Swift is an angel. It's
Oh
like
my
she's
God,
8. And I
yeah.
don't think that she's Taylor's. It made sense a little bit
They
that
Oh
they
no,
were
the
like, well,
8-year-olds
8-year-olds are
Katie
love
like
Taylor
liked
that.
her.
Swift.
Sure.
Eight,
But it just to me felt very like, what do girls like? Taylor Swift.
No,
And
that
again,
actually was
connecting
like
it.
really on track.
that is true. I get what you're saying, like the way she was like Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like buzzword
Mhm.
thing, like that thing. But yeah, the 8-year-olds are like that about Taylor Swift. But I also think this suffered from precocious. I cannot speak today.
Precocious.
Precocious child syndrome, where all
Yeah.
of the little kids were like a little
The little boy's
too
like, not
sharp.
gonna lie, I did do it.
Not
That
gonna
was
lie,
so
Dad.
funny.
It was really funny, but I was like, do little kids talk like this exactly? You tell me. I'm not around them very often. Someone else will have to weigh in.
They
It
didn't
felt
really
weird to
sound
me.
like little kids to me. I agree. The other thing I was saying about Taylor Swift is that I liked that she was saying, I got into Taylor because my missing kidnapped sister liked
Like,
Taylor Swift. And so that's
Mhm.
how I came to it. And now I've fully committed myself to her as a disciple. But
what a great way to get into Taylor Swift.
it just felt like a little, I think buzzword is the right language for it,
Yeah.
Monica, of just like, who's a big star? What's something that we can sprinkle in to be like, she's a modern day child? Like, oh, she loves Taylor Swift.
Yep.
She's an angel.
Um,
She can't be a rat or a frog. Like, okay, why are we? Maybe Lee Cronin's a big fan. I don't know, but
he might be. Okay, well that brings us into the end, and I just have to say that I'm happy for Jack Rayner, who plays Charlie Cannon, because they did this ending just so he could have a redemption arc from Midsummer. I swear to God. Like, finally, he's not a fucking deadbeat, because he's a deadbeat dad a little bit sometimes in this. There's like a couple of moments where you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, that's not true. But like the part where he totally freezes after he watches the video, which is fair. It's fair. I'm not saying you shouldn't have had that reaction. That is a real reaction to watching the video of your daughter be possessed by a demon. That would stop me in my tracks, I would imagine. But he was just like kind of catatonic and not doing anything, and everybody else jumped into action. And I was like, don't tell me they're gonna make him a baby back bitch again, like, or whatever. But him like taking the reins and like sacrificing himself to save his daughter and all that, I did love. Um,
And then he
I
ends
thought
up looking really sexy.
And we'll get to that.
we'll get
but
to that.
yeah, I think it was, and I mean, it was like an interesting choice. I liked in terms of he felt like he needed to redeem, as much as he's pointing at the mom and going, "This happened on your watch too," in a way. He, you can see how he would feel like he would need to. First of all, you do anything for your child, but he feels like he was the one watching her when she got kidnapped. He ran after her in the street and couldn't save her. There is something he can do now, so he's going to do it. And then the part that came after that actually was tagged on later when they decided that an American audience needed a slightly happier ending rather than like just left with the bleakness of like their family is reunited
would've
except for
preferred that.
dad, whose his sacrifice means everything. But they go that extra step. I don't know. It was, I mean, it gave the mom more agency in terms
Yeah.
of doing something and being like, our family's lost enough. Her family should have to lose
I did.
something. But
Well, her family already lost the dad, and by the way, in case you forgot,
two
because they
brothers.
said it pretty quickly, the brothers were flying that
Mhm.
plane.
Yeah.
The guy with the eyeball out and stuck on a pole, and the other guy whose brain
We're
was all
just
smashed. Those are the two
cutie
brothers from the
little
beginning.
kids that were singing the songs in the back with the water
Yeah.
bottle microphone.
They're also just little kids. I don't know. It's one of those things where again, their family is more interesting to me because if Layla's the last of them, you know what I mean, and their family was the keeper of this, sure, but we now have this videotape of instructions for what to do next, and we have practiced transferring it 2 times, so we've basically got it down. But it's like, what's the long-term plan here? Is the magician going in the sarcophagus, and then what happens to it? She's going to die at some point, and another sacrifice will have to be made if you want to continue to contain the evil. Like, I get that that is without outside of the scope of the movie, but it just feels very like, anyway, our family has wiped our hands of it. We're going back to Albuquerque. And it's like, well,
That's
there's
a very like American thing to be like, and we dropped the demon back off in Egypt, and we're
Yeah.
fucking out of here, bitches. Later.
We just like Detective Dahlia got like another sarcophagus so that we could smuggle Charlie's body here, or I don't know how they got him there
Yeah,
looking all
how
evil
did
like
Tia
that. Now
like,
they're back in Egypt.
he was
What is TSA doing?
Just kind of sick, and they definitely will allow you into their country if you have an unexplainable weird illness. They don't care about that at all. Actually, come right
They
through
don't
customs.
care.
Come right
They
through.
don't care. Sydney, you know the answer. It's right there in front of your face. He was so sexy,
Sexy!
Oh,
apparently.
he charmed them.
Apparently, yeah. Sydney, speak your truth about him. In this, you see him for 3 seconds with a hoodie on.
Okay, but here's the thing. He made
But
a
he is
thing.
breaking that hoodie.
Here's the thing. Him with the little like hoodie and like he like looked up a little bit and like I'm sorry.
Sydney said
That-
recently that he looks like one of her ex-boyfriends too. So I'm just putting
Oh,
that on the record for you,
no.
Queen.
Ugh.
Something for you to think about.
Maybe I will
Maybe you
have to
do
talk
need
about
that.
this.
Yeah. I think you do need that therapy session. Actually.
What if I got back with my ex, but he was possessed by a demon? Maybe we could make it work.
What do we think?
No, but
Is
still.
it a sexy demon?
But it's the only way that I would maybe
I
reconsider.
consider.
Now he licks toes. I mean,
Ugh,
we're
oh my
just
god,
bringing.
authentic
Here's the
gag from
thing,
you
it's
saying that. Oh my
2026.
god.
If like lick a toe, live a little. Just
Not
don't
a
lick a
child's
child's
toe,
toe.
though.
Yeah.
Lick a fully consenting adult's toe.
Ask first.
The demon is like, hey, little Marty, come here, let me lick those little piggies. But then they cut to the foot shot and it's like an adult foot. Stunt woman foot.
I would love to see that in the credits.
Like a man's foot with like hairy toes. And then they like cut to Mom's face and she's like, ah, but it's like a man's foot. Because I was like, did that child get her toes licked for real? You know
It
what I
was
mean?
probably
I'm
a
like,
fake
I don't.
tongue.
That's what I was thinking.
No,
I was
it
like,
was
it's
a
probably
fake
a fake
tongue.
tongue. I was like,
The
it could have
tongue
been
looked
fake
hella
toes, I
fake.
guess. But either way, it's
tongue
just,
looked
you
fake.
know.
Okay. Are we with that? Are we
Wait,
ready for
they didn't reckon at all with the implications of the fact that the demon is now in a fully grown man. I'm just like,
Right.
they could hold down a little girl. She has powers, you know what I mean? So she's still hard to fight. But at the end, Charlie, is that the dad's name? Charlie?
Charlie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. what?
Anyway.
What?
You cut out. You cut out. Whatever you just said.
It's a
all
secret.
quiet.
It's a secret.
You literally were like, anyway.
Yeah,
and I
thank
was
God
like,
it's
oh
not
my
on the
God,
record.
Chelsea's
And that's on God.
Charlie held her down at the end of the movie and was able to contain her, holding her down because he's a grown man and she's a little girl.
Yeah.
He's a grown man though now, and the demon, and they're just wheeling him in, and it's like, don't worry, we zip tied him to the wheelchair, so he's fully within our control. Girl, he's still ancient evil. I don't know. I'm
He's
just like,
still
there's
ancient
Well,
evil.
there's a
he's
lot
like so
going on
in
here.
his
Okay,
wits,
but
too.
Charlie is still in there because he's Morse coding "I love you" as a possessed demon locked in a. Where'd they get a sarcophagi? Or is
I
that
liked the Morse code of it all. I thought that was a smart through line, but again, it's one of those things where it's like the internal logic is maybe not consistent here with.
we should make our the title should be something in
Just
Morse
like,
code. Dash.
I don't know.
Hello,
Did that
I
say
do not
something
know.
inappropriate? What if that was
Oh,
just as bad as all
You
the
just
lines
said
in
a
this
slur.
movie?
You
Yeah.
just said
Chelsea
a slur.
cancel.
Oh my God. Why
I am
couldn't I
so-
cut out
I-
during that part?
I would like to apologize for what Chelsea just said in Morse code. I am so sorry. And I don't take responsibility for it. And I'm going to distance myself from her moving forward.
I wish I knew in Morse code, this is just an anecdote. I wish I knew. It's never made sense to me how you know when one letter ends and then the next letter begins.
I think there's
'Cause
like
it's
a
like,
pause.
dash, dash,
I was thinking the same
dash,
thing.
dot,
Yeah,
dot.
I
during the
think
movie.
there's a pause.
I think bim, 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 bim. That I know what slur I said, and I meant it, and it was to Chelsea.
I meant it.
That was to Chelsea. It was a little clap back. Are we ready for our segment?
Segmentos.
I almost said it myself. I've lost control.
We just take on wild. It's feral.
How could this movie be gayer? And can I start by saying that I know what's happening here. And it's right on the page. They've now got Charlie back at the end of this movie. It's a happy family, and it's especially a happy family because Dahlia is moved in with them, and they are a throuple,
Yeah.
raising the children together.
Yes. She's like, Charlie's possessed. She's a little bored. They're phone sexing all the time, you know? Larissa and
I agree. I felt like that phone call at the end was very gay. And I also felt, I mean, I decided at some point, probably when she just was so beautiful that she surely was a lesbian. Because Granny was like up on the table and was like, do you want to eat this? And I was like, wow, notice she doesn't ask the lesbian detective if she wants to eat her. But then 1 second later, it was like they were exchanging scorpion via mouth or whatever, or like something
Ugh.
was going mouth to mouth with
Oh
them.
God, when she
And so
pulls
I
it
was
out
like,
of his throat.
okay, Granny Gay, Detective Gay. That's why they spit scorpion's mouth to mouth. I liked when it like cut its way out from the inside of her throat, and then she had to like put her fingers in her throat so she could continue talking. I thought that that was
Yeah, that was
good gross of this
insane.
movie.
That was very cool and disgusting. Oh wait, you can't hear me. Sorry.
A little, but you're very muffled. What are you? What prop?
I'm looking for something. It's important. Meet Jessica. It's a
Now
real
swallow it.
scorpion.
Swallow it.
No, I would never.
And then Sydney and I will hold you down and we'll put our fingers down your throat so that you vomit up, just like they did to Katie in this movie.
That also made me gag. And then also, I have to say, like, good job when she was like eating the scorpion and its tail was out of her mouth and it was just stabbing her in the face over and over again. And she
Yeah.
was not perturbed at all. Very unsettling. Like, it's effective some of the time. And then they make it like horny, scary. Not horny, but like sexual, perverse. And I'm like, just stop doing that. Stop doing that shit. Anyway, any other gay thoughts? Say more gay things if you have them.
So many more gay thoughts.
That boy was gay.
Lillard.
That son.
Oh,
That's
Sebastian.
That's actually why it's okay that they did the undressing things, because like, he's not even into that. Don't worry.
He's not into that, especially not his sister. Thank God.
He had good taste in music. I actually saw
Yeah.
a TikTok from that band. I think it's called Car. Maybe it's actually just one person, or I don't know what is going on there. But they were like, "Oh my God, little did I know the younger brother in Lee Cronin's The Mummy is a big fan of Car, apparently."
That's
So,
cool.
well,
Yeah,
maybe
he
it's
was
just
a
a
little
character,
cute patoot. I liked
Mhm.
him a lot.
And I liked the sibling. There was like some good sibling stuff there with
I
him and
feel like
Maud.
they could have, yeah. I feel like they could have done something a little more emotive with him and Katie. That part felt a little rushed to me, just because I feel like that's like such a juicy. Sorry to say the word juicy ever in regards to this film. I'm so sorry. I'm actually a horrible thing, but like that's like would be a perfect like relationship where like he must feel so terrible. Sebastian must feel, or Sebastian, because he's got an accent on the
Yeah.
A in his name,
Mm.
by the way. Sebastian must have felt like so fucking awful because like the reason she ran off on her own that day was because he threw her Blythe doll off the roof. Psychotic behavior, by the way.
I love a
And
Blythe
like,
doll though.
yeah,
Not gonna lie,
like I don't know.
it.
There could have been more psychological
Yeah.
torture there to torture a
There was
child.
just
Is
that
what
one
I'm,
moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like there could have
Like,
been
I did it to
more
Granny because you did it to
there.
my doll. That's what gave me the idea. This is your fault.
Yeah,
It's like a lot of this movie, they have the emotional concept of what would be going on, but they don't really meaningfully they acknowledge the emotion, but you don't like necessarily feel
you
the
don't dive in.
emotion.
I just also sometime in your life, I think that you should go to Shiloh
Uh-oh.
Molina's IMDb, and just look at some of his headshots that he has. Because he is like such a little like cutie boy in this movie, and all of his headshots are like, like cool boy. You know what I'm saying? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? It's very interesting.
I'm not seeing what you're doing because I was looking at his IMDb, but I got a glimpse of what you might be talking about. But then I also saw a picture of him on the FNAF red carpet, and I was like, "What, does he have a connection to that movie?" And I had to
I
start looking
know.
into it.
Yeah, all of his pictures are very like, and I am the next teen heartthrob. Those are what the pictures are saying.
That's the
Um,
vibe.
and good for him. You know what I mean? Good for him. But it was just really funny. Like
Yeah.
after this, he's very different from this role, and that's why he's an
Yeah.
actor. Great job, Shiloh. But okay, Matthew Lillard. We're at Matthew Lillard now. Actually, we've actually got to Matthew
He
Lillard.
has to be Professor.
Oh, he would be great Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, well, okay, I love Veronica Falcone in this, who played the grandma. She's also hot and too hot to
She
be a grandma.
is
What the
very
fuck? No,
sexy.
grandmas can be hot. I'm sorry, that was a reductive thing to say, and I hate it when people are like old people,
She could be a
blah blah
Gil.
blah. Grr. You can be hot forever, and as you should. And you can dress however you want forever. Just by the way, that's just something that I think very strongly. Anyway, love her. I don't want to change her actually, but if we're gonna do like a grandpa, also there's this also grandpa there, and it's Matthew Lillard because that woman was way too young also to be a grandma anyway. So Matthew Lillard, I guess he's old enough to be a grandpa. I guess anyone can have a child at any age, but if we're gonna, he would be a contemporary maybe of Veronica Falcone, and he could be the grandpa, and he could also get possessed and do something. So I'm adding a character is what I'm doing, and it's Matthew Lillard, and he's married to Carmen Sandiego, the grandma. Should I explain it more? What do you think?
No,
I don't
like
get it. Can you
Just
keep
like a few
going?
more,
Yeah,
a few
more words,
sentences
please.
about it. And so basically, when grandma and grandpa really love each other,
It's like, you know how Sydney mentioned that couples split up a lot of times when something terrible happens to their child? Well, actually, the family was held together when Matthew Lillard married grandma. So that
exactly,
is
he's
the
the
tie
step
that
grandpa.
binds. Yeah.
Exactly,
They were
he
like,
would
we
have been
got to
great
stick
in that
around for
role.
sexy grandpa.
He really keeps it light in the house, and everybody's spirits stay up when Matthew Lillard is around. And he's the one that
My
taught
spirits stay up.
grandma that fun trick about popping out her dentures. So it's like he does the tongue thing, she does the dentures. They like both have their thing. And it's like they're mouth
Yeah,
Yeah,
related.
they
So
love
they feel
mouth
connected to
stuff,
each other, but they both have their own individual thing.
I love
and
that.
I love them together, and I miss them every day. You know, I think that's good for Matthew. Don't give me another idea. I'll explain it for 20 more minutes. Okay, that leads us to the dumb bitch.
Surely, as discussed, it's the American healthcare insurance
That's true.
It could be
system. Because
TSA,
otherwise,
quite
they would have
frankly.
taken her. Oh, that's another good nomination.
TSA, all American systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the American healthcare system number one. And that's kind of probably the baseline of any horror movie you watch, any
Right?
movie. So keep that in
Yeah.
mind. That's a little
You
Easter egg for
could.
you.
I would also say the senior detective in the beginning of the movie deserves a nomination for being like, just let's not even. I mean, I don't think it's like a bad idea to say like, let's look at the family, but also if you have a missing child, as we all know, you've got 48-hour window, or the child's gone forever, blah blah blah. Maybe that's just America. But the way the choice to be like, let's not even investigate. Actually, not helpful for the situation.
Oh, big hater energy. So dumb bitch nomination. I think that's fair. Not the demon though. He's a smart bitch. He's really good at whatever he's doing.
Yeah, like really good.
He's really good at it, and it's really disgusting. He's sick. Fuck. Anyway, that leads us to knives out of fives. What are the people saying? I'm actually really curious.
I was also curious, because the interview that I read was so like haters thought we were gonna be a
Peter's
flop.
gonna hate,
Well,
hate, hate,
guess
hate,
what?
hate.
Our movie rules. Um, but opinions are super divided on IMDb.
Yeah.
This movie has a 6.4 out of 10. Here's where things really go crazy. On Rotten Tomatoes, critics have it at 46% rotten. So, you know, 64% of critics gave it a thumbs down overall. However, audience is 74% fresh. So that's like a 30% margin there. Pretty huge difference. So I
Peter's
guess audiences are having fun.
Okay, and this is something that I think maybe I'll start Googling when we're doing a movie that's coming out like right now. I don't think it's necessarily super interesting all the time. But I was wondering how it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
If
Box
it's
office
making
wise.
money. Yeah, it's grossed over 69 million worldwide, comfortably. I cannot speak today, exceeding its 22 million production budget. Um, it opened with 13.5 million domestically, and it also did well in international markets. So yeah, that's pretty good. So it's a commercial success then. I was just curious. I was like, because it's kind of mixed. Are people seeing it? Like, is it getting
Mm-hmm.
butts in seats? I think this type of horror really hits for a lot of horror fans,
I agree.
and I again, I'm happy for them. It's not my steez. But like for example, that's why I was interested that some of our patrons like didn't really jam with it, cause or like middlingly jammed with it, cause they're all like hype for not Evil Dead Rise. What's the next one called? Evil Dead Explosion.
Burns or
Burn. That was close. Evil Dead Apocalypse. Um, I watched like the trailer for that before this, and I was like, oh, well, that's like just in the same line as what I predict this movie to be like, and Evil Dead Rise. And then Chris was like, oh, I'm so excited for it. I love you, Chris. I'm not excited for it, but I'm gonna see it for you. I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm
some
just
of
being
their
honest.
discourse was like, I go to the Mummy movie to see a movie about a mummy, and I go to
Mummy
Evil Dead movies to see
to
Evil Dead
see
to see
Dead
the
movies.
movies.
Deadites.
Yeah.
And then
So I think
instead
that
they
that is
did
very
flipped it and reversed it.
valid. Is like, again, it's an expectation thing. So it's kind of like, would you like this movie more on a second watch? But I'll tell you, I've seen it twice and I didn't care.
I don't want to ever see it again. I will never see this again.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't mind. It's not my thing. It's not what I go to the movies for. It is effective gore. It doesn't offend me. I did think some of the sexual stuff was like felt a little more than what we usually get kind of
Bargained
here, and that's
for.
what kind
Yeah.
of just set some alarm bells off for me. Um,
Yeah.
but if the storytelling was evocative enough, I think I could have really locked in on what was going on here. Again, everybody did a good enough job, and the movie was already so long, so it doesn't really feel like there's like space to flesh anything out further. But I just didn't like emotionally connect with the film at all. And I saw it a week
Yeah.
ago in 4DX, and I have not thought about it since until I needed to watch it again for this podcast. And I was kind of bored. So,
Well, turn this into your review. You're on a roll, girl. Keep
yeah. I don't. I didn't have a fixed idea. I don't think it's like bad. I just think it's again one of those things where it's like it's just not really for me. I could see someone really rocking with this. I if don't ugh. I feel like if I give anything below a 3, it's like I hate it and I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
So I don't I just 2.7 doesn't feel right for my spirit. You know what I mean? But also the
Yeah.
like unenthusiastic 3. Like I think it is
I'm
3
with you.
worthy, but I don't
I'm
know,
with you.
girl.
I'm also gonna give it a 3. I don't think it's like bad. Under 3 feels bad to me. I give hate in my heart when I do that. I don't have hate in my heart. I just have like
Yeah.
you know? Like
I'll never think
that
about it
gag I
again.
gave with the
Yeah.
embalming fluid. That's the what I'm giving with my 3. The like
Yeah.
oh god, I keep like almost making myself barf this episode. I don't like feeling
You're
that
calling
way.
it up.
I've said everything that I
You're
want to
knocking
say
on the
already.
door.
Listen to the episode before. I don't want to rehash it all again. Actually, you know what? I'm going to explain the grandpa thing again.
And we're back.
So, no, but it's just not for me. I think there's interesting
I
stuff
could see
here for
somebody
sure.
giving it a 5.
Yeah.
Not you or I.
Yes.
Not me either. I also think this is a 3. Like,
Mm.
there was like parts of it that were really fun and parts of it that I enjoyed. And
And the detective's so beautiful.
It was just so
I really enjoyed that part.
long, and it felt long. And
Yeah.
I checked my watch 17 times.
many times.
I was doing the calculations. I was like, how long did it say it was? 2 hours and 15 minutes. When did the trailers end? Like, I was doing that a lot.
I was also doing that. And like,
Yeah.
Some like
No, that part. That's my review.
yeah. I gotta go to therapy because of this movie now.
For
Very
the
nice.
reasons that you wouldn't
Very
expect. Just
nice.
because she thought he was
Yeah.
sexy at the end.
Yeah. Now I'm confused.
It's
And
too
he's
bad
like,
'cause there's
I didn't even think about that. Y'all did that to me. I'd be like, my
And I thought about it
Sorry.
instantly when you
bullying
said,
me.
because Sydney and I were on another podcast called Skip or Scream recently,
And
and
I
that's
brought
when
it
you
up.
mentioned it. Yeah, and
But
then
here's
so
the
as
thing,
soon as you said that today, why is he so hot? I was like,
I
know
literally
why.
forgot that this was the guy from Midsommar. I think it's
Oh,
because he has a
that's so
beard.
interesting.
I think it's because he has a beard, maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, he just
he's
like
several years older. He's more
yeah, like he
man
doesn't
now.
look
Sure.
like he looks differently.
But that's interesting because I wasn't thinking about it because I wasn't paying that close of attention this second time that I watched it. But the first time I watched it, the whole thing I was thinking of was maybe that's just his thing, what he does at the end of Midsommar, where his eyes are so blue and big, and that's just how he looks all of the time in this movie. That's what I
That's
remember
his
thinking in
face.
the theater. And yeah, I was like, maybe that's just what he looks like.
He
But
just
I was
has
just like, the whole time it
blue
felt like he was
eyes.
just doing that same, like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to process
There-
what's going on.
Lee Cronin
it
was
felt
like,
like that.
Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? And made him show him out the whole time. He's also got an
Yeah.
eyeball fetish. I'm sorry.
Just one more
Allegedly.
thing also. The mom, I was like, why does she look so familiar to me? What have I seen her in? Because I looked at her IMDb and she's done almost entirely Spanish speaking projects, it seems like, until now. But she was in one movie called Life Itself. Have either of you guys ever heard of that? Incredibly star-studded film.
Kind of sounds familiar.
Incredibly started a huge promotion that went into it when it was coming out back in 2018. I went to a special screening, I believe, for it. I think maybe because a friend was in PR, and it just was the
Ooh.
floppiest flop of all time. And so I'm glad
No.
she's getting another chance to be in Hollywood.
I will
But
say
I want to see Olivia Wilde and Oscar Isaac's kiss.
that movie's
though.
crazy. We should watch that movie for the experience of watching that movie together. It's bad.
I will say, like, the kid that they cast is Sebastian.
Mhm.
Like,
Philo.
him and the mom look very similar. Like, it was like
Yeah.
good
It
casting.
was good casting, yeah.
Except the Katie, older Katie, looks exactly like Maud, but she doesn't look like young Katie.
Yeah.
But I don't. I mean,
Well,
maybe
things
it would
happened
not work to
her and
swap
her
those
head
things.
got smashed.
So
Her
now she
head got
has
smashed. Obviously, her face was like
Yeah.
her real face doesn't look like that. It's fine. When she becomes a real girl, I didn't look at her, so I don't know. I'm not a real girl.
She
She
looked-
had a bad
it was-
wig.
It was amazing how much they made her look like a real innocent girl once she wasn't being a demon.
They put a bow in her hair and that they're like, call it a day.
But she and Maud look very related, but she does not look like young Katie.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it goes sometimes. So
That's just the way it goes sometimes. Yeah.
that
Very
other
interesting
actress wouldn't
film.
agree. They swapped them because that other actress wouldn't agree to have her toes licked. So
Mm,
that
Really?
mom said no. I don't know. Sorry, I'm telling lies.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I've been listening to So True, Caleb Heron's podcast all the time. By the way, I think it's made me funnier on this podcast, so thanks, Caleb, for that. But the other thing is that every time they say an allegation,
Mhm.
you know how like every episode Chelsea's like Liam Neeson's racist or whatever. We gotta start saying allegedly.
I
Or we're
say
gonna get
allegedly
sued
because
for
I worked in
defamation.
journalism.
Okay, well we need to say it louder. Allegedly. Okay, that's it. That's the end of let's stop talking about this or this episode's gonna be as long as that movie. But what's up next week, Sydney?
we're doing Hokum next week.
Yay!
Is about creepy hotel.
Question mark?
Oh,
Question
you wanted
mark?
a little bit more Ireland? Well, guess what? We're
We
going
got-
there.
we're going there.
We're
And
gonna
it's got
perfect the
Adam
accent next
Scott
week.
in it, which I'm excited because I just started watching Severance.
Yay! Chelsea and I got to see it early, so we've already seen it, and I'm excited to watch it again. So it's gonna be fun. It's Damien McCarthy's film number 3. Famously, he did Oddity, and less famously, he did Caveat, a movie that I don't know how I feel about. Maybe
And
I'll watch
I
Caveat
like-
between then and now.
I really liked Oddity, so I am
Me
excited
too.
for this.
I'm excited.
I'll be
too.
really curious to see what you think.
Yay!
Boop, boop.
Well, you should say something nice to us because we had to watch this movie and feel so uncomfortable and almost throw up. Say, I'm sorry, you almost barfed. 5 stars. Say it like that. If you
5
could spell it
stars.
where it has that accent. I barfed. I'm sorry, you almost barfed.
I threw up.
I flew up.
Spooky Tuesday.
Something like that.
I threw up.
I flew up. Spooky Tuesday. I'm glad you didn't flow up. 5 stars. There you go. I wrote it for you. It's that easy. Why not follow us on social media? Also, we're at spooky_Tuesday on everything except for Facebook and Tumblr, where we're at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Go to www.spookytuesdaypod.com for your one-stop shop for everything Spooky Tuesday, including a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday. Join us. There's a quarterly vote coming up soon. We're fighting in the background, deciding what episode you guys get to choose. Little peek behind the veil. But yeah, you should join us and get in on these conversations because don't you see us talking about our patrons every day? We're obsessed with them, and we could be obsessed with you too if you just join the conversation. And also, we are on YouTube. Oh my god! And today we just look gorgeous.
I am wearing a
And-
satanic shirt, but they don't really. That's more Christian Bible than.
I got my bangs trimmed an hour before this episode, so that's what I brought.
And
to
you
the
can
table
tell.
today.
Yeah.
You can see
And
one
I've
of my
actually
eyebrows.
been thinking that this whole time. I've been going, are her bangs freshly trimmed? Because they look toy.
Thank you for saying that.
giving
Will.
Sophie
Thank you for
Thatcher.
noticing. Wow. And Sydney looks gorgeous, and her bangs don't even need a trim.
No, I did a at-home lash lift and tint the other day.
Whoa.
Let me tell you, I overdid one lash, and it was like I fixed it though, so now they look great. This isn't mascara. This is just what they look like.
That's crazy.
Oh my
Later on, explain to me
God.
what that even means because I don't know, but not
It's
now
a
because we have to
perm,
end the episode.
And then you literally like perm your eyelash so it holds a curl for up to 8 weeks, and then you take like beard dye and you make them darker.
And you thought that would take a long time to
Oh.
explain.
Yeah.
I love being a woman.
I love putting chemicals really close to my eyes for beauty.
Anyway, if you want to see that, you better get on our fucking YouTube. Jesus Christ. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.